Well, hello. Welcome to John chapter 15, day 2. And we have unpacked, or we've begun to unpack this vine metaphor that Jesus gives us. And we touched on what it means to abide. I think we really talked about the vine dresser yesterday. Maybe today we should talk about abiding and bearing fruit.
Yeah, so one of the things that stood out to me between day 1 and day 2 is just the command for the branch is to abide. And if it abides, it bears fruit.
Yes.
And just sitting with that for a little bit, there was, I don't know, it was refreshing for me to realize how, in some ways, how little the Lord asks of us. To just abide in Him, remain in Him. I mean, we see this theme throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. You know, God says, I can't remember right now in Isaiah, but that He wanted to give them rest, but they were not willing.
Right.
He just wanted to work and strive and do. He's like, just rest in me.
Absolutely. Rest. Remain too. And so there's also within this, there's an idea of obedience too, right? I don't think we've touched on that just yet.
Yeah, so the branch being in the vine can't do anything but what the vine gives it to do, right? So if you have, going back to that vine metaphor, if you have a vine that is white grapes, the branch can't decide, oh, I'm going to bear red grapes or black grapes. It is going to bear whatever the vine gives it to bear. And that's where the energy and the nutrients, everything comes through the vine to the branch. So as long as that branch stays connected, it will bear the fruit of the vine.
Right.
And so that's where the obedience comes in, is as we abide, it becomes natural to obey. But when we don't want to abide, when I'm trying and striving in my own strength, then obedience seems burdensome. And it seems lacking joy, right? Because it's a burden for me. But as we abide in the vine, as we remain in Him and His words remain in us, then obedience is an act of joy. It's what comes naturally from being in His presence.
Right. So then there's just this cycle of joy, obedience that continues to grow. And out of that comes much fruit. I mean, what's the difference from bearing just a little fruit and much fruit? I think it has to do with the obedience, doesn't it?
Yeah, that too. And I mean, it goes, verse 8 starts, by this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. But also it connects back to verse 7, which he'll return to this several times. If you abide in me, my words abide in you. Ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you.
Yes.
Which, again, is in the context of obedience and bearing fruit.
It is. And that our hearts are so intertwined with His heart that we automatically want what He wants, too. So.
But also, noticing, this is the word nerd in me, that it's passive voice. Ask, it will be done. Right? So, again, it's not us being the ones who do the doing. It's God is the one who is doing the work, the bearing fruit.
He's the vine.
We are to abide. And in that abiding, obedience, joy, like you said, that cycle. And it's the Father, it's the vine dresser that produces that fruit in us. I feel like that takes some of the pressure off. Because growing up in a Christian family, it's there's such a long list of things to do. Right? And the burden of how many ways I fall short. Right? And this just kind of simplifies it for me to be like,
I agree. Yes.
We need to abide.
Right. And I mean, He says, if you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in His love. And He has simplified those commandments so much for us. Love God and love others. So, and abide in me. Okay, it sounds so simple, Aishrita, but yet it's not.
I think it's part of why it's not is for me is I have a rebellious heart. Like I keep wanting to go and do my own thing. And the words of him, prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart. Take and seal it. Seal it for thy courts above. And there's that. For me, I read this and there's this like, oh Lord, just keep me connected to the vine.
Exactly.
Like, I know on my own, my tendency is to want to go and do my own thing. And Jesus says, apart from me, you'll bear no fruit.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Ladies, thank you for being with us today too. We'd love to hear from you.